It's February 13th. I decided I wanted to show, well, I'm having a little bit of post-traumatic stress because I transplanted this plant here with the help of a friend, and I am really sore this morning. But it ended up looking alright. It's doing well. We got the project done. These are some plants I got in my front room. Taking up quite a bit of room, and I figured I'd show my balcony here. Got some plants. These were therapeutic for a time when I didn't have much other things to do. And while I'm showing you around my house, I figured I'd show this as well. This was a mandala I decided to draw, and it came to me listening to a reading Carl Jung, and he said, he found that his patients at a certain point found a type of unity and order out of the chaos of their disorder, their mental disorder, and mandalas would spontaneously arise in their dreams. And I was reading a guy called Prem. I think I have his book up here. It's sort of out of sorts, but this is one of my bookshelves. And where is he? There it is. Man, the measure of all things. Sri Krishna Prem. And it came to me that, there's a cycle. I was also doing a lot of research on astrology and reading Carl and reading Joseph Campbell. Especially, I came into Goethe, the Four Epochs of the Spirit. And with things being cyclic and related to the seasons, because I was also reading Oswald Spengler at the time, I was really intrigued by the idea of learning what characters exhibited what behavior. And if you see on the outside ring, there is astrological symbolisms, and it starts at the top here with Capricorn, it goes to Aquarius, the typical structure, Pisces, Aries, and that is what resides outside of this yellow dragon, which I took from Nietzsche. His dragon, thou shalt. Upon each scale is written the words, thou shalt, thou shalt, thou shalt. And that encircles the real world, the phenomenal world, the world of hard facts and empirical evidence. And within this, there are the four epochs of the spirit, or the four seasons. Winter is this upper left quadrant, and spring, summer, and fall. And this Apollonian and Dionysian attitude I placed on the outer circles. This is the Apollonian. Let me see if I can get a little closer here. Might be better if I just stay closer. And this is all, tentative, theoretical. So I tried to show the characteristics that burst out of, in the extreme of spring, and in the extreme of fall, what bursts outside of the dragon thou shalt, empirical evidence. And the reason why I placed it there is that I noticed this balance of the light and the dark at spring and at fall. The balance is always met with an imbalance. Everything equals everything else. Let me see if I can still get some images here while I set this down. So everything balances everything else out. So if you've got a supposed or a seeming balance, which would be on the spring and on the fall, where the days and nights are equal, what actually underlying is an incredible imbalance that bursts through the phenomenal realm. In the center, I try to place characteristics that I mainly ran into in the book of Man, the Measure of All Things by Prem, of this non-attachment, non-existent state, but being completely rooted in the center of all phenomena. And ultimately, what they say is that there are it's beyond all categories of thought. This center, this non-attached, non-existent sphere is non-existent. But for me, at this time, trying to categorize characters that I meet in real life and place them within a unity that is affirming to the whole, yet separated off into parts. What I found was that in the summertime, in the belly of the beast, of this dragon at the center right here, is the longest day of the year. And that's the sun symbolism. And I met that with fully awake, the knower, masculine father, and all these other characteristics I placed there, but that's the summertime. And in the winter, I placed the moon as a seeming egg being directed through the tail and the mouth of the dragon. And the reason why I left it outside was that it seemed to me that at this point there is an absolute transcendence, a leaving of the world. Characters seem to be developing through this side of this development, the development of forms, and then on this side, the dissolution of forms come up until a complete leave-taking into a transcendent realm. And these are behaviors of human beings in that they're not some mystical qualities of these legendary figures as astrology and the archetypes are contending with. But within this whole circle, this dragon is behavior of actual people. And so the underlying myth of this sphere is that people develop forms until they come to the belly of the beast, and they're trapped within the belly of the beast, and then they try or they begin the process and the adventure, the journey, to leave the world of phenomenal forms and dissolve all of what has been built up. And another aspect of this egg is that all the golden seed thoughts developed through all this busyness of building stuff is fermented and purified and dwindled down to alchemical golden seed thoughts, just these little bits and pieces that are passed on as informing agents for the next cycle of developing forms. And the only other thing I'd like to mention is that the people born in this phase here, the winter phase, seem to have an attitude or stance or posture that they see the whole picture. So this is Einstein's, if you had a telescope strong enough and you looked to the end of the universe, you'd see the back of your own head. Now, this may be the beginning of forms, but it's not the beginning of phenomenality. There are two beginnings and two ends. This is the beginning of forms, and it starts with people thinking they know it all. They have the whole picture in their mind, but they're actually just small children on the very beginning, not the end. But here, they see themselves as little children, and they're just beginning, and they're the straight arrow. Light just travels in a straight line. Then here we have the wave, or what I call going with the flow attitude. And then here, it's a spiral. One is turned on its side in the ever-developing continual round of greater and greater and greater forms developing. And for me at the time, the astrological symbolisms for each phase seem to correlate to these deeper stance and postures that are guiding and directing them. And that basically takes the whole overview. I'll show you this, some of the characteristics. But the whole process is flowing. And I have these arrows here where the Dionysian merges, or the Apollonian merges into the center, and the Dionysian merges into the center. It's a mix of both of these that have gone past, yet are also rooted in the dragon thou shalt of phenomenality. And I have Goeth's 4 epochs of the spirit. So the first is the Hardy folk belief. The Hardy folk belief thinks they've got the whole picture. Divine revelation, we've got the whole picture, this is the whole schematic, this is the way forms are to be built. And that's a religion. And then this is a theology. Goeth's second, which is idealizing exaltation. It's holy reason, which is basically religion over thought. Or a Hardy folk belief is, Anyway, then we move to philosophy, the third phase, clarifying devaluation, wise understanding, but that always produces too much analysis, and we end up in the fourth stage of prose and a dissolution in banality. It's vulgar and sensual, or a dissolution in vulgar, sensualized banality. And I have the dream consciousness is the top. So the top half are preoccupied with being informed by dreams, and the bottom half are preoccupied with being informed with empirical reality. But I think you can see this was done, I think probably in 06, maybe, before 06. And it helped bring order to the many perspectives that I was integrating at the time, bringing them all together into a single cohesive vision in which they did no harm to each other and work together in unity, which I believe is the whole purpose to the mandala philosophy of what Carl Jung found in relationship to his patients.